It is Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. Welcome to the SVG-TV News. I'm Khalil Kato with the details. The first session of the 11th Parliament was convened on Monday afternoon and saw all members who will serve for the next 5 years taking their oaths of allegiance. Following the swearing-in, a few members on both sides of the House of Assembly were given the opportunity to deliver brief congratulatory remarks. In his remarks, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who led his Unity Labour Party to a historic fifth term in office, congratulated the returning and new members of Parliament.
I offer thanks to and congratulations to all those who took the step to become candidates in elections. It's an amazing decision to offer yourself to represent people. And whether you're elected or not, it is a life-changing experience. And it requires courage. And I want to thank all the candidates from all the various political organizations, parties that participated in the recent elections. And thanks to the supervisor of the elections and the staff, the workers of all the political parties and candidates, the observers from the National Monitoring and Consultative Mechanism, and from CARICOM, and of course the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for participating in an election, or in elections, 15 elections on one day in general elections, which was largely peaceful. Occasionally there were some dissonances, and these elections have been adjudged to be free and fair.
Leader of the opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, in his congratulatory remarks, said he and his team will continue to work in the best interest of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It is a high honor to be elected or appointed to serve in this chamber in fulfillment of my trust and my love for my country. I wish all the success in the execution of the duties of government by the government on behalf of the people of this country. We have to, Madam Speaker, understand that when we stand in this chamber, when we profess our love for the people and ask for their trust and confidence, that in all things, our own personal and even collective in this chamber, feelings must always take second place to the interests of the people. I am honored to serve and will continue to do my very best on behalf of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for North Windward, Montgomery Daniel, who is returning to Parliament for a fifth consecutive term, along with newly elected MP for Central Leeward, Orlando Brewster, were the other two members on the government bench to make congratulatory remarks.
It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be elected to this Parliament for 5 consecutive terms. And indeed, I'm indeed grateful to the constituency of North Windward. Madam Speaker, when I was elected to this Parliament in 2001, never ever did it cross my mind that I will be sitting in this Parliament as the Deputy Prime Minister of this country. And indeed, equally, I owe that debt of gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister and my colleagues. And I want to say to you that given the opportunity, I intend to work with you for the next 5 years. I want to congratulate all the duly elected members of this House on both sides of the bench. But special mention must be made to the first-timers like myself, and the Honorable Carlos James, the Honorable Curtis King, and the Honorable Fitzgerald E. Bramble. I must congratulate as well the duly elected senators in their position, and I am happy to look across on my side and see not only just senators, but young senators, you know, who in their quest, I'm sure, would continue to lift the banner of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and lift this nation on a whole higher.
From the opposition side, congratulatory remarks came from newly elected MP for East Kingstown, Fitzgerald Bramble, and Senator Chevron John, who unsuccessfully contested the North Windward seat.
I'm quite sure that most of you know better than I do, that to serve your country, especially a country such as ours with so many challenges and so many unique and peculiar realities, it is not easy. This is my first time serving in the Parliament, so I myself look forward to the challenges, and I look forward to working with everybody in this honorable House to meet those challenges to make our country a better place. I want to particularly thank my colleagues on this side of the House, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, who has inspired me and motivated me and guided and counseled me in so many ways. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with you.
I am a proud Garifuna woman who stands here today, the first Garifuna woman from North Windward to serve the people of North Windward and by extension St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I want to end by congratulating my Garifuna brother, the Honorable Montgomery Daniel, on his appointment as Deputy Prime Minister. And even we are political opponents, we are not enemies. And it is in our best interest, serving here as two representatives from North Windward. I extend a hand that we will both serve the people whom we love and whose welfare we both seek to advance as members of this honorable House.
The newly elected Speaker of the House of Assembly, Rochelle Ford, also took the opportunity to congratulate members of the House. Ford thanked the members for the confidence placed in her to lead the House as its first female Speaker.
This occasion is made doubly special for our nation, as in one meeting of the House, two entries in history annals are made. With the election of Senator Ashel Morgan as Deputy Speaker, it will be the first time during the same session that both the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker are women. It is indeed a day of celebration, but what would be of greater import is a Parliament exemplary in the conduct of its affairs, one exhibiting an ever-evolving maturity commensurate with its years of existence. In great part, our Parliament has performed creditably, but in some instances, the journey ahead still remains a long.
Ford said that she is confident that all members of the House will work harmoniously to fulfill the mandate of the people who they will be serving, and she said she's looking forward to healthy and constructive debates in the House even fused with lively moments, but noted that order must be maintained at all times.
However, it will be done within the parameters of the standing orders and the confines of decency. What a distasteful irony it would be if Parliament, the lawmaking body of our nation, fails to follow its own rules. Thankfully, I comfortably rest in the confidence and ability of you, the members, secure in the knowledge that such an irony will not disturb this august body. Having said that, I urge you, let us not make the mistake of trying to resurrect an old, misguided, stereotypical myth, which in its folly somehow equated a particular gender with weakness. Happily, as demonstrated here today, on both sides of the aisle, that theory continues to be debunked. We will forever be guided that the business of the House is the people's business, and this is a parliament of rules.
The new speaker said December 17th has been set aside for a special morning meeting for sitting parliamentarians and staff of the House of Assembly so that they can be familiarized or be refamiliarized with the standing orders of the House to maintain order in Parliament. Today, this country joined the rest of the world in observing World AIDS Day under the theme Global Solidarity, a Shared Responsibility. The day is dedicated to raising awareness of the AIDS pandemic caused by the spread of the HIV infection and to recognize those who continue to work to end HIV/AIDS. During World AIDS Day, people pause to remember those who have died because of the disease. Director of the Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV/AIDS, PANCAP, Vincentian Dr. Rosamond Adams, said the organization endorsed the theme for World AIDS Day 2020 as it effectively captures the phenomenal efforts of the public health champions in responding to COVID-19 while working to maintain the gains made in the HIV/AIDS response.
Healthcare providers working in HIV have also been called to the battlefield to respond to COVID-19, a clear demonstration of the type of solidarity in health that is needed for us to live in a safe and healthy Caribbean. The coronavirus pandemic has disrupted health services. An effective HIV response requires continuous service delivery in areas such as prevention, treatment, and laboratory services. Moreover, HIV care and treatment services are dependent on community action to reach those at risk and to support those currently living with HIV to ensure that they are reached and retained in care.
Dr. Adams said because of the COVID-19 pandemic, national AIDS programs and civil society organizations across the region continue to be challenged, especially in the area of HIV testing, as lockdowns and other measures have prevented persons from accessing services. He, however, noted that the region has proven itself in the past to rise to challenges with collaborations and innovations, and he has no doubt in the ability of the public health professionals across the region to come up with strategic responses to COVID-19 while protecting the gains made in the HIV/AIDS response.
Loss of employment, lack of essential living support, and depleted nutritional supplies are some of the main issues that undermine adherence to HIV medication. COVID-19 has indeed exacerbated these circumstances. In Jamaica, Candace Livermore, Executive Director of the Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, JASL, responded to the needs of our clients by soliciting donations and writing proposals for small grants to support clients with nutritional support, care packages, sanitation items, and financial support for transportation to attend clinic visits. Such actions, in the face of so many adversities, may have saved many lives and protected the gains made in the region's HIV response. In Barbados, Dr. Natasha Rambaran and her team from Equals Barbados arranged for delivery of multi-month medication supplies, provided care via telemedicine, and donated food hampers sourced from donations of an external grant. These are just a few examples of our Caribbean public health champions recognizing their shared responsibility and taking decisive action to ensure the continuity of HIV services during COVID-19.
Praising the response of the public health practitioners and civil society leaders for their work, the PANCAP director urged all partners to share their stories and celebrate the successes of maintaining the region's HIV/AIDS response in the face of COVID-19.
Our region has responded to the global pandemic with cooperation, unity, and innovation, which ensured the continuity of HIV services and better health outcomes for people living with HIV. Our governments, national programs, community mobilizers, and the public sector stepped up to provide the needed services so that people living with HIV can remain on their medication. Time will reveal how many lives were saved because our region acted promptly and effectively. I do believe that despite the challenges of 2020, our region can amplify the HIV response and fulfill the CRF's mandate of a Caribbean free of AIDS and new HIV infections, in which all people are happier, healthier, productive, safe, and respected. The partnership remains committed to supporting this momentum, and we stand in solidarity with everyone as each of us do our part in ending AIDS in the region.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Sinclair Prince, says despite the focus on responding to the COVID-19 pandemic and the recent dengue outbreak, his ministry continues to provide support to the most vulnerable. In his ministry to mark World AIDS Day, Minister Prince said the vulnerable group includes persons living with HIV and AIDS, whom the ministry provides a 3 to 6 month supply of medication.
Support is also provided in the form of the love boxes, school supplies, care packages, food and medication vouchers, and additional psychosocial support. As we take up the challenge to end the HIV/AIDS epidemic through global solidarity and resilience by 2030, we will continue to bolster our HIV services through integration into primary health care and other health services. We will be innovative with our efforts to reach all key populations to ensure that they continue to receive care and treatment. We will ensure that there is adequate financial support for HIV services in the face of dwindling international support. Our health is a shared responsibility, and health security is national security. We hope our population will continue to take the necessary precautions as we strive to end this pandemic.
Minister Prince further noted that frontline workers who are integral in the fight against HIV/AIDS must be supported in the delivery of services for this disease and all other infectious diseases. He said the Ministry of Health has been putting measures in place to ensure they are fully supported in their work. There are 1,687 persons living with HIV/AIDS in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. These stats are recorded from 1984 to October of this year. Winfield Tanis Abbott, HIV/AIDS coordinator for public sector entities in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, attached to the National AIDS Secretariat, told SVG-TV News that there are more males living with AIDS than females.
And from 1984 to October 2020, so that's 1984 to 2020, we have recorded 1,687 persons HIV positive. So that's 1,687 persons recorded living with HIV, and males 1,029, females 640, and there were 18 who was not registered as male or female.
From January to October of this year, there were 26 new cases of HIV/AIDS, with 15 being males and 11 females. There were also 15 deaths, 11 males and 4 females. Tanis Abbott said that within a 36-year period, 800 people died from HIV/AIDS in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
From those 1,687 positive, 923 became full-blown AIDS, or what you will say the next stage, which is called AIDS. Males 602, females 321. All this is from 1984 to 2020. Deaths thus far, we would have had between the period of 1984 and 2020, 820 deaths. Males 538 and females 282.
Persons are encouraged to check out their HIV/AIDS status.
HIV has no face. HIV is no respect of anyone. I am encouraging those who are HIV negative to stay that way, to have one sexual partner and to use a condom properly at all times. For those who are HIV positive, we have care and treatment at the infectious disease clinic, and you are asked to take your medication regularly. And by taking your medication regularly, you're also asked to eat healthy, do your exercise, and go and get your medical checkup to make sure that everything is in order.
Locally, there was free HIV/AIDS testing done at the Planned Parenthood Association's office at Paul's Avenue, along with an educational session on the proper use of condoms. A week of activities to raise awareness on HIV/AIDS testing and educational talks with school children were also done leading up to this day. The counselor at the HIV/AIDS Secretariat in the Ministry of Health, Odinga Warner, said it may seem that insufficient attention is paid to sexually transmitted diseases other than HIV/AIDS because with HIV/AIDS, persons not only test for the disease but also do a full-body screening for other STIs. She said, however, that other than HIV/AIDS, other rapid testing was done at the Planned Parenthood Association's office at Paul's Avenue today, including for syphilis, as well as COVID-19, as the country offered testing services to mark World AIDS Day.
While they are equally important as HIV and AIDS. So I am appealing to everybody, not just coming out to know about your HIV status, but you can come and do all your sexually transmitted screening so you can know for sure that I am healthy, I am safe. So if you protect yourself and you're the only person that can be true to you, then you can also protect others. There are medications available. While there are those that cannot be cured, they can be treated, just like HIV and AIDS. So come on out, know your status, whether it's HIV or another sexually transmitted infection, get treated, get counseled.
Warner said they have been seeing an increase in other STDs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, including chlamydia and syphilis.
But the thing is, not because it's about HIV and AIDS doesn't mean that no other sexually transmitted infections are out there. They are, but it's just that we're not hearing about them. And I think that is something that we need to do more, talk about the other sexually transmitted infections out there, because we know that there's a rise in syphilis, there's a rise in gonorrhea, there's a rise in chlamydia, there's a rise in herpes, there's a rise in genital warts, which is HPV, the human papillomavirus. And we're not talking about them, we're not hearing anything about them. The most you will hear about is HIV and AIDS, diabetes and cancer. So what is wrong with the others? There's nothing wrong with the others. They're there, they're in existence, but we're just not talking about them.
Also, counselor at the that should be at the AIDS Secretariat in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Owen Batiste, is encouraging Vincentians to be responsible and to take care of their health.
To keep their status going, because in the past months or so, some persons have seen, they have seen that they have been in some promiscuous behavior, and these are some of the patterns sometimes that persons who are engaged in sexual activities, they normally time themselves when they should have a HIV and AIDS test done, and persons mostly wait until every 6 months to do one of these tests. But if you are into any sexual behavior in terms of your pattern of sexual activity, you should always keep in mind that your health is your responsibility.
The Gender Affairs Division is hosting a two-day regional training workshop on mental health and psychosocial services, the role of hotline counseling. The workshop, which is taking place at the Beachcombers Hotel, seeks to combine efforts and programs across the region in combating gender-based violence. Coordinator of the Gender Affairs Division, Lafleur Kwame, said the two-day training workshop will help to equip the participants with the necessary tools and knowledge to provide support to victims and survivors in times of need. Noting that they are on a journey towards creating safe spaces for the protection of the vulnerable, Kwame said the training is a vital pit stop, especially as the world is at present recognizing 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. She also noted that while the COVID-19 pandemic has presented its own challenges in combating gender-based violence, it also presents some opportunities that they are taking advantage of, and announced that SVG is on its way towards establishing child abuse and crisis hotlines in the Ministry of National Mobilization that will respond to child protection and gender issues.
These hotlines would provide toll-free 24-hour services where victims and the general public can be provided with the necessary advice and guidance during this emergency crisis and even beyond. This today's session shall focus on training volunteer advocates and our service providers in the GBV referral pathways across the 3 countries on mental health psychosocial services and their roles as hotline counselors. It is expected that at the end of the 2 days, the response mechanism for gender-based violence would be enhanced through effective coordination of services, and participants here today and tomorrow will be better able to dispense psychosocial to victims of violence. I want to also use this opportunity to issue a call to all stakeholders to work together hand in hand as we continue to provide a safe platform for citizens in our respective countries.
Minister of Gender Affairs Orlando Brewster said the two-day workshop is very important for SVG and its regional partners, especially in this current health crisis that has resulted in women and girls being at high risk of intimate partner violence and other forms of domestic violence due to increased tensions in homes. He said that at the heart of the response mechanism for the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of National Mobilization is seen among the major or essential service agencies in guaranteeing the social functioning and survival of citizens. Further, that the establishment of a 24-hour domestic violence hotline is a great achievement in the encountering gender-based violence.
It also signals my government's commitment towards ending violence against women, which is the most pervasive breach of human rights worldwide. Therefore, as participants from Dominica, Guyana, and right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you would be sensitized about your roles as hotline advocates and available referral services in responding to cases of domestic violence. It is imperative for all stakeholders to work together in the fight to end family and gender-based violence and to take a multi-sectoral approach rather than working in silos.
Brewster further gave the commitment of his ministry and the government to continue the education campaign about domestic violence and to strengthen the support services that are available to survivors.
As a matter of fact, this training is a precursor to the planned launch of 2 hotlines which will be on December 7th that would give many victims the confidence and willingness to report cases of child abuse and domestic violence. Let us be reminded that in order to be truly rid of the scourge of domestic violence in our nation, we must say enough. We need to change the culture and the mindset of violence and silence and speak out. If we are to end gender-based violence, we must unite and stand together.
9 Mornings activities for 2020 will be launched this Sunday, December 6th, with full COVID-19 protocols in place. Chairman of the National Nine Mornings Committee, Orandi Bomani Charles, said on NBC Radio this morning that the Nine Mornings activities will be done safely and responsibly and will be responsive to any changes that may occur.
Of course, behind the scenes, we would have known that Nine Mornings is on for a few months now, but we were approaching the situation very cautiously for obvious reasons. You know, last year we had a fantastic festival last year, and we were raring to go very early this year, meeting with the various community groups and organizations. And in March, as we know, the world turn upside down, and that affected our planning. But although initially we had approached it sort of a watch and see, wait and see what was going to happen with the pandemic, as the time drew nearer, we realized that based on the experiences of some of our neighboring territories and what the situation is here locally, that we could go forward with our 2029 mornings and do so safely, responsibly, and sort of design the festival this year with a view to being responsive to any changes to the circumstances on the ground, that we could react pretty quickly.
All of the communities that usually take part in the Nine Morning celebrations have already expressed an interest in participating this year.
At Beckway sent in their submissions pretty early. It's about four or five different communities in Beckway that will be having some activity under the almond tree, in Paget Farm, in Jellizo. I always have trouble pronouncing that one, Jellizo. And so yeah, the folks in Beckway have been involved over the years. Last year they were involved, and this year, like I said, they were among the first to send in interest in participating in Nine Mornings 2020.
We've had a lot of communities indicating thus far, and communities, I can mention some that really do have great lights and a great program. The Colesdale, Beckway, Hamilton, up in Diamond Village, Richland Park, Curry, Kittels,
Chauncey,
Barley, Sign Hill, Fitzhugh, Sandy Bay, Richland Park, Mespo.
The Nine Mornings celebrations will be held under the theme Keeping the Christmas Season Alive. Vice Chair and Treasurer of the Nine Mornings Committee, Lennox Bowman, said this year has been very difficult and they are trying to provide a lift for the end of the year.
Really trying to embrace the core values and the spirit of Christmas. Over the years, we have done all the bits and pieces about trying to create activities which surround communities and families, and all these activities are staged sometimes in the evening, but mainly in the pre-dawn morning. So we are looking to this year to have something which is no less, but as Bomani said, responsive at any time to any changes. So we will be looking again to all the usual things at Nine Mornings, to expose all the traditional forms of music, dance, the culinary arts issues, and promote the traditional cultural values, and in a way try to keep inspiring national pride.
148 tourist accommodations in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have been approved to receive their 2021 tourism-approved licenses from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Tourism Authority. The licenses will be for the period December 1st, 2020 to October 31st, 2021. The Ministry of Tourism said of the 148 approved accommodations, 55 are new registrants, with 45 being on Beckway, 7 on the mainland, and 3 on Union Island. There is an overall increase of 59 new tourist accommodation licenses for 2021, up from 89 licensed properties in 2020. The Tourism Authority's Quality Assurance Unit is currently issuing reports, licenses, and complimentary thermometers to all tourist accommodations which have met the minimum standards. And these standards now include the protocols from the SVG Ministry of Health and the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, for the hospitality industry. Over the last 3 months, the Tourism Audit Team conducted the annual inspections of tourism accommodations throughout the destination, with emphasis placed on safety for staff and guests. The team comprises representatives from the Ministry of Health, the Physical Planning Department, the Police, Fire, and Traffic branches, the Bureau of Standards, and the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association, along with the Quality Assurance Unit of the Tourism Authority. They were joined by the Quality Development Unit of the Authority, which spearheads stakeholder training and tourism standards. In addition to tourist accommodations, the Tourism Authority said licenses are issued to taxi operators, tour guides, and short-term vehicle rentals. Some 280 taxi operators, 91 tour guides, 34 tour operators, and 11 short-term vehicle rentals received tourism-approved licenses for 2020 and will be relicensed for 2021 in keeping with the requisite standards and codes of practice. Police say they are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of Quinson Josiah Richards, a 21-year-old laborer of Fair Hall, that occurred on Friday, November 27th. The police investigations indicate that Richards was struck on the head with an unknown object at Glen between 5 p.m. on Wednesday, November 25th, and 7:10 on Thursday, November 26th. A post-mortem examination is to be done to determine the exact cause of death. And police are asking persons with any information pertaining to this investigation to contact the Assistant Commissioner in charge of crimes at telephone number 456-1339, the officer in charge of the South Central Division at telephone number 458-4200, or any police station or police officer they're comfortable with. They promise that all information will be treated confidentially. Richards' death is the 28th homicide for this year.